Hello and welcome to the 162nd installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
You know me. I'm 60 seconds or less.
Dude, hell yeah, bro.
Found it.
Pound it. But in 60 seconds or less. Jordan,
Yeah.
where do we put this god-awful thing?
Find us. Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS Feed. It's also YouTube and Spotify that have video platforms. And then you can contact us Instagram or TikTok. You can also watch our shorts there. And you can actually listen to the podcast on TikTok now. I synchronize the two. Bit of a
Oh,
syncer.
shit, it's synced.
I'm a bit of a syncter, you know? Like
He's
a sphincter. And email us, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Comments, questions, concerns, death threats, most importantly, Little Kitty, Big City, news. Haven't heard anything on that game in a while, actually. I'm kind of worried.
Yeah, maybe the developer died.
I will carry the torch in his
Maybe
honor. I'll make the worst fucking game
He
possible.
exploded. He was...
What was his name? Dave? Drew? Derek? You're on the D.
I think it might have been Matt.
Yeah, it might have been Matt. We love you, Matt.
We love
Or
you,
Dave.
whatever the fuck your name is.
Yeah.
Send us stuff.
Please. I
It'd
need
be
free
cool.
stuff.
What I would do for it, I can't say on YouTube.com.
Damn.
You know,
Last time I heard that,
it would get us
Chris
banned.
and I were pretty drunk. And really
Get
not
us
helping.
banned.
But, Chris, I think I know where this is going to go, but what have you been up to?
Well, first of all, housekeeping. It's a little
Fucking
that's me brooming for
a little
audio
mini
listeners,
bird.
yeah.
Just fucking
This would be an old school, like classic episode.
classico.
You know, I want to say it's because it's not because we suck, but it's because we suck.
No, it's because we suck.
But we'll talk a little bit
More
about it.
importantly, I just don't see Chris anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have actually died.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but Jordan and I are we no longer work with each other.
Yeah, HR, there's a whole big thing.
Yeah, it was, they used the term sexual harassment, and I was... I'm not going to continue that statement.
Loosely, they used the term. Wasn't right.
I prefer to call it a good compliment, you know? Can I say that? Are we going to cut that one?
No, I like it. That was funny. I just that wasn't planned. Like that wasn't like a bit or a skit. That was just I threw that in there and you fucking ran with it and
No, that was
crushed
a
it.
joke. I left my previous employer. It was an amicable split.
Better opportunity, yeah.
Yeah,
More in your field of study.
Better opportunity. So
Yep.
that's what I'm doing now.
Chris is the president.
Yep.
As of today.
As of right now.
You went to president school.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing actually. It wasn't Security Plus training, it was President Plus training. And now I'm the president. And I do declare that I think we're going to be factoring in for 2024. We're going to be factoring into the federal budget Jordan's Duncan budget. We're cutting into the Department of Defense a little bit.
Take that, let's see.
We're taking $500 billion from defense spending, and we're putting it towards Jordan's Duncan budget.
There you go. But yeah, so not to side rail us any further. Yeah, you don't work with me anymore.
Yeah.
Or I don't work with you.
Yeah, I'm now employed elsewhere.
Yep. I'm still where I was, I am.
So it's I don't want to get too much into it, but it's just been slow going.
Yeah. Early days of a new job.
It's just been slow going right now. But I will say I've been doing a lot of Linux stuff, and I was gonna compare me doing Linux stuff to like Kratos going back to get the fucking the blades.
Yo, that's sick. That's
but
kinda
like
good.
he doesn't want to do that. I'm like, I kind of like this.
Yeah, it's like if he like hopped and skipped back.
Yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
You're pleasuring yourself at work?
mentally.
Anyway, yeah, you're doing Linux stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I've been, in the terminal.
Yeah. Honestly, what are you doing exactly? Like just application stuff? Like
Doing everything.
A little bit of everything.
Been in the terminal. Well, because I'm working towards my second CompTIA certification. I have a time period where I can get that, or I have to get that. So I'm going to be getting a Linux Plus certification. So, ask me all about, updating packages, refreshing repositories, adding custom repositories, compiling software from source, connecting to a machine via SSH.
I feel like that's all stuff you've talked about doing anyway in the past, besides maybe the SSH one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ask me about fucking cron jobs and scheduling services. Ask me about shell scripting. Actually, don't do that. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Give it a week.
Ask me about fucking how to pipe something through grep, Ask me about how to fucking send my results to a file, Ask me about fucking,
Just fucking.
Ask me. I wouldn't know much about that. I don't know what sex is. Ask me about DHCP servers and DNS servers. Ask me about common cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Tell you all about it.
Don't ask him for money. I made that mistake.
Yeah,
Yaris wasn't always rusty.
I like the implication that you asked me for money and I snapped my fingers and some goons came over and sprayed your fucking car with a corroding agent.
Man.
So I've been working my fingers to the bone in this terminal. Just been terminaling.
See, I feel that's good news for me in a way, because next time my Steam Deck doesn't Steam Deck, I'm like, Chris, the Steam Deck, no Steam Deck. Fix the Steam Deck piece.
It's well, listen, if you go into your cron tab file, I can schedule some jobs for you.
I'm like, Chris, I don't need a job. I need you to fix my Steam Deck. You're like, you fucking jamoke.
Well, actually, if you look in your /Etsy directory, you can find all your config files.
Okay, and then what?
Have you considered making a RAID array or perhaps a logical volume management array?
Fucking crazy. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, though, because I feel like that's a certification you could use in your day-to-day, because you were into Linux for a while, and then you kind of were like, yeah, this is a pain in the ass to manage, but now if you get even better with it, you're going to become one of those Linux snobs, man.
Well, here's the thing about it. I enjoy using it when I do. Mm-hmm. But for the things I do normally, I just don't want to fucking do all that,
Yeah.
For the things I do normally at home, I want to play a game. I want to click button and game work. And I've gone back and forth on this a lot. Because but I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? I'm just getting too old for this,
That's fair.
I want to click button and game work. I don't want to spend several hours fixing game,
Right.
When
you spend more time fixing it than playing it.
Yeah, when I could just go, and it goes, and it just works. And for a PC, if you're playing games, do what you're gonna do, right?
Right.
There are gaming-oriented Linux distributions. You're gonna have a fucking whale of a time, trying to get things to work. Trust me when I say this, as easy as they make it sound, it is often not.
Right.
But if you use something like Manjaro or like Pop! OS or even just mainline Ubuntu, it's you're going to have a lot easier of a time. It's still not going to be fun, though.
It's no Windows where you fucking put the flash drive in, hit go, and you're good.
I had to put...
And Windows is installed. Congrats.
Well, that part is easy.
But getting the OS up and running isn't.
Moving in is tough.
Yeah.
I have been setting up kind of a virtualized lab environment to just... Because, I want to actually use this stuff so I know it better.
Right.
And my options are kind of limited at work, so I set it up at home. What I'll do is I actually set up one virtual machine And then I got sidetracked. I went to Discord, and I was in Discord. So then I got sidetracked. Whatever. So I set up one virtual machine. I'm like, man, I don't remember the performance on these VMs because I'm using Hyper-V, which is just built into Windows. I was like, I don't remember the performance on these being this bad. And I was like, you know why? Because you can't just run it in the Hyper-V window. You run it in Hyper-V, right? And it goes, and then you use remote desktop and remote in, and the performance is way better. You get your full screen resolution, the whole nine. It's great. So I did that, and I'm like, oh, well, how the fuck do I get this one, Windows 10, to talk to this one, Ubuntu 22.04? How do I get this one to talk? How do I get these to talk to each other?
Make them friends.
Great. You need XRDP. Wonderful. Install XRDP on the Ubuntu machine. Great. Cool. I can connect via RDP now. Black screen. Nothing. I see a cursor. That's about
cool.
it. Black screen. And like I looked this up because apparently it's a very common issue. It's like, oh, you have to just because let's be real. I'm at a point where like I know enough to just be like to see commands and go, that's not going to break anything. So if you're troubleshooting Linux for the first time, don't just enter commands into your fucking command line. It's not a good idea. But like you just kind of got to know a little bit about what the command's actually going to do first. So I found like some solution and I fixed it, and then I had because RDP is weird how it works. It works this way even on Windows, where you have to be logged out of your account because RDP, when you remote in, will re-authenticate your user account. So if you're signed in, it's going to try to sign in again.
Yeah.
So you have to,
No bueno.
on Windows it's weird too even, so that's beside the point. Point being, just getting that simple thing up and running, and I would say Ubuntu is the one that talks to Windows the best, because Canonical and Microsoft are kind of friends.
Right.
They were kind of like the reason that like the Windows subsystem for Linux started, which should be called the Linux subsystem for Windows, but that's beside the point. Because it's a Linux subsystem running on your Windows machine, not the other way around. But anyway, they're kind of friends, so they talk to each other a lot better than other distributions. So I'm like, if I'm having this much trouble on this, like, what if because these aren't baby tools. This isn't. I'm not playing with Barbies here. These are enterprise level tools.
Right.
These are tools you use in real enterprise high level environments. Like Hyper-V is a very powerful virtualization platform. It's it's no VMware, but it's a step up from like VirtualBox.
Right.
You need Windows 10 Pro.
Ooh.
Windows 10 Pro, because I'm a professional.
Makes sense.
So I've been setting that up. I'm probably going to set up a couple more machines so I can fuck around and have a good old time. It's I've just been doing things like that. I've just been feeling techie lately. So I feel like I just get in a mood like that every once in a while.
Yeah, a little aspiration to do some techie stuff.
Well, they call it Asperger's, but
happens. I get my A's crossed sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's good, though, because you're kind of doing the Linuxy stuff. You're feeling that vibe, and then you're technically getting paid for some of it, like whatever you're doing for the work stuff, like the courses and shit.
I do get paid to work, yes.
So it's pretty cool.
I do get paid to work. It's
Wait, you do?
Yeah.
I don't.
Sucks.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Rather unfortunate. I'll take that one up with the old boss. Hey,
Hey, listen.
Are you paying me?
These guys have been getting a paycheck the whole time. I've just been hanging out.
Oh, yeah, we fired you 6 years ago. I'm like, oh, fuck.
You fired me before I started?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But, yeah, anything else besides the Linuxy stuff?
I do want to talk about, because I mentioned it very briefly, like right when we started recording, how like everything I own has been breaking.
Yeah, I wanted to inquire on that actually.
Like my phone.
That looks loose, by the way. You were just moving it, and that looked like it almost pulled out.
That's fine.
All right.
She's a bit loose. She's a bit worn out.
I'm just waiting here.
My phone has just like, in addition to the issues with service, that's, beside the point, because that's not my phone problem necessarily. That's a Verizon problem, but it's just been, the performance on it has been so fucking dog dick lately. It's been garbage, and this phone's like barely 2 years old.
Damn.
Barely 2 years old. I got this phone around November of 2021, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to need to get a new phone soon. So I'm like, Jordan just got this thing. So I'm like, how much is this? Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend all that.
Yeah.
And this is the whole reason I got the cheap ones. I don't want to spend all that, but like, how long has the cheap one lasted me?
Yeah. I mean, you could also wait, like, if the S24 comes out soon, I'm sure the 23 will drop too.
I suppose, yeah. But I'm like, man, what the fuck? And, my computer's been odd lately. I don't know what's going on with it. And
I know you're cheating on it with Linux, dude.
Frankly, I don't know if I even have the fucking gumption to, like, want to bother fixing it. It's old enough as it is, where, like, well, the GPU driver thing has kind of ironed itself out. Mm-hmm. So there was a problem I was having where my GPU drivers would just crash sometimes, and I was like, I gotta fix this. I gotta like DDU it and then just reinstall the drivers and whatever. And I was like, I'll get on that because restarting my computer is always a fucking monumental process because I always have so much shit open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so much easier for me to just leave this on and then not worry about it. So like when I restart, especially with my browser, like it opens and I have like 15 or 25 tabs open and I have to like click each one and refresh it. And most of them are YouTube videos, so they all play at the same time. So I'm like, fucking Christ, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So it's always a fucking nightmare to restart my computer anyway. So I'm like, you know what? And you got to restart it to DDU it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to bother. It'll work itself out. And seemingly it has.
Interesting.
Because I've updated my drivers a few times since.
Right.
And I guess it's been fine. So
probably some patch came through or some shit.
Yeah,
or it
but
just made it reinstall.
Interesting thing, my monitors don't turn off anymore. You know how like when you lock your computer, your monitors time out and they shut off, they go to sleep? They don't do that anymore. I have to turn them off manually. I don't know. Well, sometimes, because this has happened before, and I'll just restart it and it's fine. And then like months later it'll start again and I just restart and it's fine.
Out of curiosity, if you unplug the input, like it has no input at all or possible, what does it time out or does it just stay there?
Yeah, it'll time out if I just have nothing on it.
So it's like it's getting some sort of command. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, maybe I have a virus or something. I don't know.
It's that link, dude. I told you not to click on that link.
I've just been clicking mad links. I've just been clicking all kinds of links.
I emailed you that as a prank, Chris.
I've just been linking
around.
No, I think it's just because Windows as an operating system just degrades over time.
Yeah.
It's not a very, I don't think operating systems in general are very stable. They're not designed to exist for very long.
Yeah.
Like they're designed to be, you have to image it every so often and just like call it. So I might just have to reinstall Windows at some point.
Yeah, maybe get like a different boot drive.
Yeah.
And boot from there. But you boot from an NVMe, no?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so you could easily move everything over to like a hard drive and then just wipe the NVMe and do it.
Yeah, because it's an old one too. It's only like 250 gigs. So
yeah, so it wouldn't even be much to move. And yeah, if it's older, that could be even part of the problem.
So I'm like, maybe I just have to fix that. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't.
Perhaps, perchance.
We'll see. Maybe I'll just build a new computer. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'll be frank. I don't know anymore.
Thought you were Chris.
Nope. I've decided to be Frank.
Welcome to Synapse Misfire with Frank and Jordan.
Frank and Jordan.
I feel like, honestly, that's one of the few situations where my name first sounds better. Jordan and Frank is definitely better than Frank and Jordan.
Yeah, I feel like everything that I own has been just fucking degrading.
You better be knocking on wood, bro. It better not be the cord next.
Also, in other news, This could be a monumental piece of news.
Ooh.
Something died in the basement recently. Because I woke up one morning and I'm like, it's terribly stinky in here.
And it ain't me.
So I live pretty close to the woods, so like mice get in all the time. It's just kind of an unavoidable thing around here. So I'll throw poison up in the ceilings like at least once or twice a year. And the mice will get in, they'll eat the poison, and they'll fuck off or die or whatever. Sometimes they die in the ceiling, and it gets pretty stinky. Mm-hmm. And so I'm smelling some dead animal. Something died in this basement. Like, man, it's pretty yucky, stinky in here. And when they die in the ceiling, it goes away within like a couple of days, and it's not too bad usually. But I'm like, this is bad. Mm-hmm. And I haven't put poison up yet, so I'm like, all right, that's weird. So I'm looking around. I'm going on a fact-finding mission. So I'm running around like a bloodhound. I'm moving stuff in my room, going, just
You're literally like Giraffe Man finding the leak.
sniffing around. I'm sniffing around, and I go out into the main common area, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm moving, and then by pure chance, I bumped the couch, and I saw something sticking out from underneath the couch. I'm like, oh, I moved the couch over, dead mouse under the couch. I'm like, that's interesting, because this implies one of two things happened. Mm-hmm. Either it just decided to up and die right there, or Chunk finally did something fucking useful.
Wow.
He finally did something.
I'm going to guess it just died, but...
He was probably like, these fucking people, they're feeding me less. I'm going to eat this thing. And then it crawled under the couch before he could get it, and he's like, whatever.
He's like, fine, I'll just eat less. It's fine.
Fine, I'll just
Too fat to fit to the couch.
I'll just find crumbs on the ground to munch on.
Crumbs and plastic.
I'll find some plastic or paper to munch on.
Yeah.
So it's, dead mouse. Found him, disposed of him.
Stink is gone. I was going to say, because I didn't smell anything.
Yeah, no. Stink free now. Stink free. So if it ever gets terribly stinky, look for dead mice under your couch.
Places you least expect.
Yeah. Because the second I moved the couch to, he was very interested in what I found.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had to hand him to my dad. I'm like, can you wrangle him while I get rid of this fucking mouse? Because I'm gonna go and try to pick it up, and he's gonna fucking try to eat it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to call poison control or something.
Yeah, because you don't know what killed the mouse either.
Yeah, like, oh, well, he ate
some cyanide.
He ate a fucking ancient mouse that's been dying here for, a couple of days, so he's probably eaten some mold or maggots or something.
Yeah, something not good for a cat. So.
Yeah, so dead mouse, gone.
Yeah, gone but not forgotten.
Gone but not forgotten. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Chris, what do I got for that?
Yeah.
So on the topic of rest in peace, I kind of gave you a pre-show warning just because I didn't want to drop it on your lap.
When I said mouse, gone but not forgotten, I went rest in peace. I went, oh shit.
So.
Oh shit. This is not a fun way to lead into that topic. This topic.
So I gave Chris like some forewarning and some backstory just because I didn't want to be like, hey Chris, this is a recorded audio, and guess what? And I'm obviously, if you can't tell, I'm in a fairly fine mood, so I'm kind of doing better. But it's Saturday, the 18th
of November.
And Monday, this past Monday, which would have been, like the 13th, I think, Lexi and I's guinea pig Noggin died, which was rather unfortunate, but also rather relieving. As I was telling Chris before the show, there was some definite illness beforehand, so it wasn't like a surprise, like, oh, wake up and he's just dead. It was like, I was telling Chris, like, the night before, I was like, please just die, like, go. Because he was barely moving, he hadn't eaten and drinking, like, it was very miserable situation, very miserable weekend, very miserable Monday start to the fucking week. I said to him, too, I was like, you son of a bitch, you're going to die on a Monday, aren't you? And he died on a fucking Monday. Son of a bitch, dude. Bro really stuck me for the rest of the week.
That's why Garfield hates Mondays.
For real, dude, yeah. His guinea pig died on Monday.
Yep.
So it was a very sad week overall. I'm obviously doing a lot better about it now. Like, it's weird because some people may say, like, oh, it's just a guinea pig, it's just whatever, but, like, still a pet.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. People cope differently, is what it is. So it's been like a miserable kind of start to the week. It got a little better midway through the week. Then it got worse. Then it got better. But Oscar's also having some issues, rather unfortunately.
Oh, is he doing all right? Is he going to die?
So to kind of keep it brief, but so he's been losing a ton of weight. I've talked about it like vaguely, but it's gotten pretty bad to the point where he probably started the year closer to like 20 pounds, like 19, 18 pounds. He's down to like 9.5 or 10 right now. So he's dropped, I would say, close to 50% body weight in like a year and a couple months.
Which, for a cat, is crazy because they lose weight super slowly.
Which actually, in fairness, like he's probably lost the weight in actually more like 6 months, not even like a year and a half. It's probably been a year and a half that I've noticed something like, it looks like he could be slimming, but it's been like 6 months, basically since we moved back with my mom, that it's been like, I can see his spine. What's going on there? Like, that's weird. So I tried taking him to the vet in the past. I've talked about it numerous times how that did not go well. So I had a house call vet show up on Thursday, and she was like, all right, I'm going to try and do blood work. She said there's 3 things we need here. Number 1 is his cooperation. Number 2 is his anatomy. We need to be able to find a vein that's accessible. And number 3 is her technique in doing this, right? Those 3 things need to work in order for us to successfully get blood from the cat.
That's odd that, like, he has a lot of trouble with the vet, but I know a lot of cat owners have trouble with their cats at the vet. They give them sedatives.
Yeah.
And the cat gets sedated to go to the vet.
So with him, I've been given sedatives for him in the past that I didn't want to give him, and then I was also talking to the vet about it, and she was like, it's probably not going to affect him because gabapentin doesn't really work on cats very well, but it's probably going to be what I have to do, considering what happened on Thursday. So he meets them, right? And he's the fucking friendliest cat. Like, Chris knows this, like...
No, this cat's chill as fuck.
You just show up, and he's like, yo, what up? Like, Giraffe Man showed up to my apartment for the first time, and Giraffe Man's not, like, a big guy. Like, you're tall and big, but he's just tall. So you would think for a cat who's only a foot off the ground, he'd be like, what the fuck is that thing? Dude, Giraffe Man came in, he was like, yo, what up? What up, bro? He, like, dapped him up.
Yeah, I was going to say, he came and dapped him up.
Like, Oscar, like, fucking ask Giraffe Man. Like, Oscar was so chilled to the point where you do this, too, when you've seen him. You're like, dude, get away. Like, leave me
away from me.
Because he's just like, yo, what up, bro? He just wants to hang out. So, like, friendliest cat. So the vet shows up, and he's like, what up? He's hanging out with him. He's rubbing up against him. We bring him into the bathroom. She's doing, like, heart rate and checking in his mouth, and he's doing okay. Like, even the mouth check, I'm like, oh, he's going to fucking flip. She's, like, prying his mouth open, and he's, like, not happy about it, but he's not doing anything. He's just kind of, like, pulling away, like, hey, stop.
Right.
But he's chilling. So then she goes, all right, try and do the blood work. She's like, I'm going to put a muzzle on him. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, let's fucking try it. So I put him down, or I'm holding him, or put him on the sink. Like, he's like kind of just over the sink, and he's sitting there. He's like, yep. They grab this muzzle. She starts to approach him, and he's looking at it. I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? It makes it like a femtometer over his nose. Bro hisses for the first time I've heard in 5 years.
Bro starts losing it.
And just fucking does this crazy ninja backflip into the sink. And now he's in the sink on all fours with his back arched, fur up, hissing. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Relax.
So she goes, okay, let's try a towel. We'll put a towel over his head. I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound like a good idea, but let's try it. So then he's actually growling. Like, straight up, not like hissing, just literally going like that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. The nurse assistant, I hand her a towel. She goes, all right, I'm going to try and put a towel over his head. So she tries to just put it, like, gently drape it. Apparently that's a thing that really works with cats. They like having, like, their head kind of covered. Dude, she takes this towel. He's watching. He's like, get that fucking thing away from me. She puts it above him, starts to lower it. Within a blink, he jumps up, rips the towel from her hands, dives at her, latches onto her arm, and just starts fucking tearing her up.
Ooh.
He scratches the shit out of her. She goes, oh, fuck, rips her arm back, and he falls off her arm and hits the floor, and then just starts rubbing against her leg. Like, just headbutting her leg.
Bro's bipolar.
So she's like, I'm like, do you need a Band-Aid or something? She's like, no, I'm good.
Do you need, like, stitches?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm like, are you good? She's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm like, okay. And the actual, like, vet, I mean, they might both be vets, but, like, the head vet is like, yeah, he ain't having it. So she's like, all right, you got to do a urine test. So he's chilling after that. He's just hanging out. He's like, yo, what up, people? Like, his heart rate's a little elevated, obviously.
He's like, almost lost my cool there.
That could have been bad.
Yeah, that could have been pretty bad.
The vet takes like a paper towel. She's like holding it to her arm. She's like, yeah, no big deal. It's nothing big. And we bring him out, and he's just kind of sitting. He's chilling. She's like, all right, you're going to have to do a urine sample. She kind of explains me how to do it. She realizes, she tells me he's dehydrated or whatever, which has made sense with some of the symptoms he's had. He's been fiending for, like, sink water. He will drink some of his water, but if he sees you, like, turn on the sink, he, like, fucking dives in, and you're like, what are you doing, bro? So, like, that's some of the weird stuff he's been doing that clued us into this in the first place. So she's like, all right, we're going to try and give him, like, a saline solution, SQ fluids. So she's like, we have to inject that into his back, but it's a lot easier than blood work because you just grab the fat and just it's under the
they
skin.
had to do that to Chunk when when he wasn't eating, when he got clogged
to give him nutrients and shit.
Yeah, they had to put it like under his skin. It was so fucking weird because like you would
touch it,
you go to pet him and he's got this like Jello pouch.
So I didn't even think of that. That happened the next day though. We were like petting him, and I literally in the morning I rubbed him from like head to ass, and I heard. I was like, what the fuck? What happened? Did he shit? I was like, did he just shit himself?
Dude, ew, yucky.
So then, to do that was easy. I had him just in front of me with his head facing away, and I grabbed his front arms and locked my elbows into his back feet, and then they just picked up the fat, they stuck it in, and he was like getting pissed, but he was like, what's going on back there? He wasn't like that upset, and then eventually he squirmed a lot, and it fell out. But they got like 50 cc's in him. He was doing good. That little jelly pouch was there for like a day. So she's like, all right, do the urine sample. So I had to buy this expensive ass hydrophobic litter that is exactly what it sounds like. He pisses on it and it all puddles and floats off to the side, so you can extract it and then put it on the test strip.
Right.
It also came with 2 test strips, so I fill out both of them. Fill out the one she gave me, which has like 10 tests on it. The ones in the bag only had 4. And on hers, there's one square specifically that's like a light purple, almost like a lavender, and it turned super dark purple with a square in the middle. And I was like, oh, that's strange. That can't be good. So I did it on the test strips from the package, and one of them that's green turned black, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So I send a photo to her, because what she's trying to do is rule out diabetes, because you can't do that without the blood work, but this could help figure out.
Right.
Because she thinks it's hyperthyroidism. He also has a lump on his neck near his thyroid, so we all have thought that for months. So she's going to start him on thyroid meds if he's not diabetic or anything. So do this test strip, and she texts me back. She's like, hey, he has a lot of blood in his urine, like a lot. And I look at the test card from the package, because hers, she didn't tell me what any of the squares meant. And the square that was like a green, or it's actually yellow, is supposed to stay like a light yellow, maybe a little green, or like yellow with spots. Black means it's the worst possible outcome with high blood content in his urine.
Fuck?
So I'm over there, like, I usually am pretty okay with medical stuff. I used to be a lot better when I was, like, in biology and, like, thinking about going into the medical field. But I've lost a lot of that knowledge, or, like, it's, not on the top of my mind. So I'm like, isn't that kidney failure? I'm starting to, like, be like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind if this is kidney failure. Luckily, that didn't really come up. All the symptoms around what the test showed and some of his habits are showing a UTI. So she's prescribing antibiotics for him or whatever for the UTI. So what she has me doing is giving him the antibiotics. And I'll probably have to retest them, obviously, to see if there's more blood or less. And then once that's done, if it's good, he just starts on what the fuck is it? Is it methyloxine? I forget what the fuck it's called, but it's a hyperthyroidism.
He goes on meth.
Yeah, he goes on meth. Yeah. So it's just been like, dude, it has just been a week of fucking pure misery. Because let me tell you this. Saturday and Sunday, I cried a lot for Noggin when he was suffering. Mostly because I'm watching this little rodent, like, literally not eat, not even shit or piss, just sit there and essentially decay. And I'm like, he'll move a little and he'll sniff. And then, like, Sunday night is, like I told you, is like, I knew he was going to die by Monday. Because Sunday night specifically, totally sedentary. He wouldn't even move. So I was like, all right, it's almost game time. So, like, Saturday was rough. Sunday was rough. Monday, he passes. We bury him. Letsy's all beat up. I'm beat up. I'm like, this just fucking sucks. Everything's miserable. And I'm like banking on Oscar being okay. Because, like, the amount of tears I shed for Noggin, to be able to talk to him about him 5 days later and not be, like, crying right now, I'm going to tell you right now. When that cat dies...
When Oscar dies, George's just going to go away.
I that's what I've said before, and I truly mean it. Like, I'm very likely going to just go away. Not kill myself. It's not a fucking secret code for kill myself. I'm going to leave the state I live in and go elsewhere to essentially meditate, because I've had this cat since I was fucking 9.
Yeah.
And I don't know of a life without him. it's this weird thing where, like, I don't remember coming home and not having a cat screaming at me at the door and, like, trying to fucking climb in my arms every 5 seconds. Like, I don't know that life. And that was the worst part about Noggin. Like I said, I've been doing better, but yesterday when I worked from home, I cleaned his cage, and I started crying a little because I'm cleaning Jerry's cage, and there's no other guinea pig there, so I'm like, fuck. So to come home and, like, the hardest things were obviously, burying Noggin, but also, like, breaking down his cage, putting away treats that only he liked that Jerry doesn't like. Like that stuff was really hard, so to come home to no cat, no water bowl, like, all that stuff is just going to be, like, an amalgamation of misery in my head. And, it's going to be detra-fucking-mental to my sanity. I already know it, at least for a while. So, like, I'm just praying to God that this is something minor because, knock on wood, Oster's never had any issues. I've never, ever in 13 years had to take him to the vet for anything. So, with this being hopefully minor, the UTI and then a very common thing, hyperthyroidism,
And
he should be good.
My aunt had a cat that lived to be like 18 or 19.
That's crazy.
Old cat, but when the cat was like, I don't know, around Oscar's age, she got this like kidney thing, and she just had to take medicine every day. Like it was just put it in the food, and she just had this medicine or whatever. And this cat was like gaunt. Like this cat was very slim. You could pet her and you'd feel like every bone in her body.
Yeah. And that's kind of how Oscar's getting, which is like what's worrying.
So that was crazy. This cat had to have weighed, I don't know, maybe 7 pounds.
Wow.
Like this was a gaunt cat. It was thin, and she just would like fucking scream. This old cat scream where they just sound hoarse.
Yeah. Too many years of screaming.
Yeah. It's wow. And she also was like completely, like had the same bipolar thing where you'd hang out and you're like, pet the cat. And then she would just go, nah, and just scratch the shit out of you for no reason.
Yeah. That's what's always been so like crazy to me. Even my dad said it. My dad was like, I don't understand how Oscar literally goes from like the most predictable, like I leave Oscar with Jerry sometimes, not like face to face, but like Jerry would be in a little pen in the living room and I'll go like do something in the other room for like 5 minutes. And Oscar's just chilling, watching him. Like, I leave him. And I'll peek
babysitting.
I'll peek over sometimes to make sure, like, he's a cat. He still has instincts. So something could just click. And he's like, I'm fucking killing that thing. Yeah. So I always keep an eye out. I don't just, like, here, Jerry, go hang out with this fucking apex predator. Good luck. Yeah. But, like, I do that. But then you go to fucking put a cone over his head. And he fucking just goes ballistic.
He loses it.
Like, I even showed the nurse, the vet after. I was like, watch this. I literally took my hand. And I covered his whole head with my hand. He was chilling. He literally just sat there with his eyes closed with my head over his entire head, my hand over his entire head. And I was like, I don't know why you go to put the muzzle.
I don't get it.
Switches.
I don't get it either because but here's the thing. Chunk, he gives me lip, but he's never like angry with me. So when if I take him to the vet and the vet like cuts his nails, he gets pissed off about it. And he gets pissed off with me, and I gotta wrangle him. But like, what I'll do a lot of times is if he's really not cooperating, I'll take like a blanket and I'll put it over him, and I'll put him like between my knees so I can lock him in, and then I'll pull out his paw and I'll clip his toenails, and he'll just go meow 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 meow. But he never yells or screams at me.
Yeah, or
like he never like hisses. Or whatever, he'll just make a bunch of noise. I'm like, listen, dude, it's really not that serious. I'm just...
Yeah. Done.
You're done.
Yeah.
And we'll hit the back ones maybe later. I don't know. I'll let you go do your thing.
Yeah.
But he'll get mad at me, but he's not gonna like hiss or like get like real mad with me. But at the vet, he'll just like... He's better with it now because he's been to the vet and back a few times. So he's better with it now. And now he's a crybaby.
Yeah.
He'll go. He'll like cry.
Yeah, it's like I've said in the podcast before. Like Oscar's been banned from like 4 vets, and I really thought the home vet would be like good. Like the big problem I had too was when he started to go ballistic. I started to panic because I'm like, if this was a feral cat, if I'm walking down the street and this feral cat hisses at me, sure, I'm going to be a little scared. But I'm not going to have any reservations about punching this cat in the mouth. if Oscar goes ballistic and he doesn't calm down on his own, like he looks like he wants to kill her and he doesn't like let off, I don't have the emotional strength to punch him in the side of the head or try to rip him off. Like, feral cat attacks me, yeah, it's gonna suck, but I will punch it in its face. Oscar, I'm gonna be like, ooh, yeah, that's tough. Good luck. Like, I don't want to watch you trying to get him off. Like,
shit.
Like, I have too much of that emotional attachment, like, I couldn't logically see myself, like, putting his ass in a fucking chokehold to, like, get him off this lady. Like, so I was just glad that, like, he literally he straight up Mike Tyson uppercutted her and then backed up and was like, what's up? What's good? Like,
yeah, it doesn't help that cats are, like, inordinately strong for how big they are, how small they are.
Yeah,
like,
I don't understand it.
They're such, like, little guys, but, like, the second you want to, like, have you ever seen all those pictures of like a cat trying to get food from a plate and the owner just like grabs them by their head and they're just like fighting against a human being's strength?
Yeah.
This thing weighs, my cat's a fat bitch, so he weighs like 18 pounds.
Yeah.
So, he weighs a lot. He's built like a fucking brick shithouse. But a normal cat, like 10 pounds, 12 pounds, this thing was like, it can go toe to toe with like a bodybuilder. This fucking thing is so strong when it wants to be.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, my big fear is like, dude, if Oscar genuinely like wraps around this lady's arm, he ain't coming off. Like, it's not gonna happen. It will not happen.
I got into a tug of war with Chunk one time.
If he's on carpet, you are.
I had a piece of rope, and he grabbed the end, and I had the other end like this, and he just like. He was on the tile, so it wasn't as bad, but, like, he was, like, gripping the floor and pulling it away from... And he was, like, pulling my hand. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I don't want to do this, because I'm like, I'm going to rip his teeth out if I do that.
Obviously, like, again, like, if it was a feral cat and, like, you're genuinely fighting this thing. Yeah, if Chunk's pulling a rope, you could fucking lift him in the air and just fucking suplex him, but you're not going to.
I'm not going to do that, though.
And that's my problem with, like, if Oscar had not just, did a little and then backed out. Like...
Just a couple of skippity pats.
He gave her a couple of skippity pats, made sure the claws were out, but like then he just, like I said, he fell to the floor, like he jumped at her, and he didn't even try to latch. He just he did like a jumping like, and then just dropped to the floor and was like, "What's up?" I was like, "Oh man,
fucking attacked her ass."
Yeah, he fucking mollywopped her, but yeah, I don't know. It was interesting time to say the least, but yeah, it's been a pretty tough week.
They were the times.
But, yeah. It's definitely been a week. I'm hoping next week's get better. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
A couple days off work. Just kind of hanging out.
We'll see what happens,
Yeah. So we'll see. But Chris, aside from that, what have you been playing?
A long preamble. I talked briefly before the show about how I started Phantom Liberty. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it last episode too, like that you were starting it or about to start it.
Yeah, and I just kind of got bored with Cyberpunk, to be honest. So I haven't finished it.
This guy can't finish.
Hey, a guy like me. I picked up Skyrim again, unfortunately.
That is rather unfortunate.
So I've been playing with mods.
That's better.
So. I have an alternate start mod, so, like, you don't have to run through the fucking...
You're awake.
Yeah. The long-ass cutscene and this and that. So I have the alternate start mod, and it adds a ton of different, like, locations and, like, things to start. But you start in, like, a prison before you select where you're gonna go. You start in a prison. And there's an option to just, like... break out of the prison cell. You just get like 3 lockpicks, and that's it. So that's the start that I ended up finally choosing, where I just grabbed the lockpicks and I exited this prison. I made my character this like buff, bald guy, and he's blind in one eye. Jesus Christ. He has like scars and shit all over his face, and his name's Tommy Convict.
There you go.
And his first act after getting out of prison was to, the exit for this was like under a bridge. I went up the bridge, and then on the bridge there was an orc woman selling like drugs, selling like skooma, and there's an option to intimidate her, to say like, hey, give me all your fucking stuff. And she was like, no, actually, I'm not going to do that. So my first act out of prison was killing this person with a dagger, and then I stole all the drugs and money she had and threw her body off the bridge.
There you go. Yep.
And then I continued down the river, the path next to the river to like just some town, and I just started chopping wood.
There you go.
That was my
You're a
start.
peaceful convict, clearly.
Yeah, so I don't know what Tommy Convict's backstory was, how he got into that prison, but he belongs there, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just be stealing things.
You can almost play it from the perspective of, like, he's a good guy, but, like, the word no is, like, a sleeper agent trigger. So if they're like, no, I'm not going to do that, you just fucking lose it.
No, actually, he's not a good guy.
He's just crazy.
He's just not a great guy, and I like the idea that just this random, I guess is kind of the vibe of the actual story, but, you know, I'm just thinking of this guy who broke out of prison, is trying to keep a low profile, and is chopping wood and like going on little quests to try to raise money, just happens to be the Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't start the main quest until like I don't know, 5 or 6 hours in. I was just playing, and my story was like, all right, I'm in Riverwood. Let's do this. Oh shit, the trader, I'm just in various towns looking for work. And the trader, it gives you the Golden Claw quest. I'm like, all right, finally, some real work. And I found this dragon stone, and I'm like, Tommy Convict finds this dragon stone, has a weird experience with a word that's written on the wall, and finds this tablet, this piece of rock, and then, he goes to Helgen to find more work. Dragon attacks. Mm-hmm. What's going on? That's weird. Let's go talk to Jarl Balgruuf, see what he's got for us. So much for a low profile. We got to talk to the Jarl. Be like, hey, listen, guy.
I'm totally not Tommy Convict.
Dragons. Unlimited dragons around right now.
Yep.
And he's like, all right, cool. Go talk to the wizard. I'm like, hey, wizard. He's like, yeah, I need you to get this rock. And he goes, you mean this rock? And then a dragon shows up, and he eats the dragon's soul. Like, okay. Strange times for a prisoner, you know?
Yeah, he was just chopping wood last he knew.
Like, 2 weeks ago, he broke out of prison.
Murdered a lady.
And started chopping wood.
Yeah.
And selling wood for 40 gold.
40 gold.
He's chopping like 80 pieces of wood. He
was a laborer.
Yeah, he was going through chopping wood, going through dungeons to find pieces of gold for a shopkeep.
A shilling, please.
And then going into the shopkeeper's like back door as he was sleeping and stealing all his shit.
Chris, you went into his back door while he was sleeping?
Yep, broke right in.
Yeah, you gonna do the bucket trick on anyone? If I can put the bucket on their head, and just
I did that on one person, but then the bucket fell, and I had to,
take care of business.
I had to,
make amends.
I had to do my thing. You know me, Tommy Convict.
Yeah.
He's not a good guy.
So I've heard. Yeah. Tommy Convict. What an interesting name. I wonder where he got the last name.
Yeah.
No, so you've been playing Skyrim. Anything else besides Skyrim?
Not
or is
really.
that just kind of the main thing?
Really, that's what I've been doing. Even that, I've been like,
Yeah, made sense. I didn't really get to talk about it last episode because I think we were running late, or we had like another not skip, but like segment we did instead. But I ended up getting a Quest 3, and I was playing that pretty hard, playing The Walking Dead, a couple of different games. But most recently, came out Thursday. I got to play so far only like an hour of it, but it's got some pros, got some cons. Assassin's Creed Nexus VR came out.
Right.
So that's kind of like the big AAA VR game at the moment. Basically, just to kind of keep it short, you're a hacker who is an assassin in the modern day. You kind of sneak into Abstergo, which is just basically the Templars, and you are reliving the memories of 3 assassins, Ezio, Cassandra, and Connor, to find key points in history where they came across like these fucking symbols or whatever, these artifacts that are going to be used by Abstergo in the modern day. So they're looking for like those critical moments to figure out, so it was in Italy here, so therefore it's probably buried here, like shit like that. Obviously the main meat of the game, aside from the story, is you're those assassins. So you're doing some combat, you're doing some stealth, you're doing some parkour. And most importantly, for me, my favorite part of the entire experience is you're using the hidden blade. And I like the way it's done. I do. The main combat is okay. It's not nearly as coherent as like Blade and Sorcery. It's much more Assassin's Creed-y. I do have to say, I do appreciate one thing, though. You know how in the older games, you would just fight like a group of 10 guards, and they would just attack you one at a time? In the VR game, they actually kind of don't. Like, they do a little bit, but at the same time, they'll like try to fucking triangulate around you, and you kind of got to be like on the watch. So I do appreciate them doing that. You got something to say?
Is it like Skyrim VR where you can just like take your weapon and just like?
So no.
Okay.
So there are moments where you do like a parry and it opens them up to successive attacks. So you can do like this, but it'll only register like 3 attacks before they go back to their animation or whatever.
Right.
And then if you try to do that, they do just like a generic sort of push and they shove you back or whatever. So it doesn't let you do that. It's a bit more Blade and Sorcery-ish without the physics per se. So far, I think my favorite thing about just the regular combat is you get to do things in the game that you would like to do in the main games that you can't do in those games. You do them in VR. So, for example, my favorite fucking maneuver is as Ezio, because I've only played as him so far. He has 2 hidden blades, one on each arm. That was like the big thing of Assassin's Creed 2, right? So what I'll do is I'll have my sword, and I'll have my left hidden blade out. And I love that they did this. Like, this is like, if this was missing from the game, I would be upset. You can be like sword fighting this guy, and if that guy opens up to attack to your left, you just thrust your left hand out and you'll dash at them and you'll stab them. So I love just doing this sort of combat maneuver where I'm like fighting this guy with a sword, and then all of a sudden I see that guy open up for attack out of the corner of my eye, and I fucking just thrust into his ribs, and then I continue sword fighting that guy while he's stuck to my blade, and then I just retract the blade and his corpse falls over, and I'm still sword fighting his body. Like it's very cool like that. I think it'd be even better if it was more physically involved, like Blade and Sorcery, where you could like sweep their legs and shit.
Have you ever seen those clips of like people playing like Red Dead 2 with like mods where you can like flip the gun around and shit?
Yeah.
And they do like crazy fucking like quick draw shots, and the comments will say like lore accurate Arthur Morgan.
Yeah.
And there's like that. So that's the lore accurate assassin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's what I like it for. And then also like just again the hidden blade. It's not like what you would expect, where it's like, oh, it's Ubisoft, so you hit a button and the blade comes out. No, like you do obviously hit a button because it has to know what you want to do. But you actually hit the button and then you just move your wrist. And I like how responsive it is. So you don't have to be like, throw your shoulder out to get it to register. You literally just turn the controller at a slightly faster than normal pace with the trigger held, and it'll go, and the blade comes out and stays out until you pull it back in. So like, it's so good for that. Like that right there is my favorite thing thus far about it. The story's pretty good. The voice acting's just as good as it always is with those 3 characters so far. Where was I going with that? The sword, like I said, combat is okay. It's more the hidden blade, dude. Like, as a fan of the series, as like, you know, a fucking 8-year-old who played the first game and was like, oh, I like that. You go ting behind someone, to literally walk up behind someone, flick your wrist, and then stab them, and then ching, retract it, and they fall over is like, it's pretty dope. I gotta admit, it's pretty
neat.
sick in VR. Like, that's my favorite thing. And you can do air assassinations just like the games, where you take out the blade, you look at someone, there's an outline on him, and you hit the jump button, and he'll leap, and you have to like put your wrist out to get him. That's super satisfying, because it's not like what you'd expect from a cheesy cheap VR game where you like stab them and they go like ooh and they fall over. You jump, dude. The velocity in which you can pile drive someone's head into the floor is the most guttural, satisfying thing ever. To just leap from a tall ass structure and just right in the back of someone's head, and then their face will smash the ground, and you take the blade out and there's a little blood squirt out of the back of their head. You're just like, yeah,
got him.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I literally, again, it's about the ability to do things in the VR game that you can't do in the mainline games. That's been my favorite part. Like, I had a glass bottle, and I grabbed it with my right hand. I was leaning up against like a railing, but it was solid stone. And there was a guard just on the other side. I was like, I need him to come around the corner. So I literally took the bottle. I tapped it against the edge of the stone. He goes, huh. He comes around the corner, and I grabbed the corner, because you can move with your hand like that, like you pull yourself around the corner. I waited till his little like indicator came into view, and I just jumped up, yanking myself over the corner, and just right up under his chin, just fucking stabbed him through his head, and he just like, and just died.
That's crazy.
It's like that's the stuff that's sick, in the game, and it's very good for that. And apparently it's a pretty long game too. Apparently it's like close to 20 hours.
Huh.
Visually, it's a Quest 3 and 2, or Quest exclusive for Quest 2 and 3. I haven't seen it on 2 because I have the Quest 3. I heard it's fine on there. On Quest 3, it is visually phenomenal. Like for a standalone game, I would say I said this to Bud Light Boy. The Quest 2 to 3, or sorry, Quest 1 to 3 jump is very similar in my mind to like late gen PS2 games to late gen PS3 games. So like, I would say that this VR game is very similar to like the 360 PS3 late Assassin's Creed games, right before we got to Unity with the PS4, where it was like, holy fuck. It's like still got that like, this is a game look and feel, but you're also, especially in VR, you're like, holy fuck, at the scale of things, like, very good game.
Yeah,
a little buggy though, admittedly.
I think the thing with VR games is like when you port them to like just a regular screen, they look so much worse than they actually look.
Yeah, and the main reason for that too is you're also, whenever you cast like that, you're recording one eye.
Right.
So it takes one lens. So you actually have like this weird depth perception thing.
So you're like, damn, I feel like if I was playing this, I'd fall right over because I couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. And so my big gripings, I'm bringing that word back, okay?
Oh shit, we're back in the year of the gripings.
The parkour in the game is good. I thought it would be a little more free. It's not, and I understand why.
Costs money.
You just hold the A button and you look at like the ledges, and he'll kind of like scramble up and jump and climb. And it makes sense why it's like that, because it would be very difficult to coordinate yourself to jump, land on like a little beam like you do in the Assassin's Creed games, and then jump to the next one. So you just hold the button and it does like a nice fluid animation. You can see your legs, by the way. You have a full body. It's got IK, is what they call it. I forget what it stands for. I think it's like interconnected kinetic body or something. Whatever. It's got a rig, so you can see your body. So you actually see them jumping, and it's sick. The only gripe that I have thus far is the actual climbing. It only registers handholds that I've noticed when the indicator's on screen, which is awful. So games like Stride, which I have another gripe with, but I'm not going to talk about that game. You just parkour by grabbing whatever you grab. You grab it, and you grab it. That's it. In this game, you have to reach for like a ledge, and then you'll see like a white line appear, showing that it's like a grabbable surface, and then hit the button. So instead of just being able to fucking up a wall, you kind of have to like pace yourself to make sure you get the indicator and your timing right. But to make up for it, you can do a lot of the iconic moves. So you can hold two hands and jump, and it will go, and you'll fling up, and then you can try and grab a ledge much higher than you and like kind of do one-handed things. Or you can push off a wall and actually dive backwards like you would in, again, the main games. So I climbed up a building, and there was like an overhang. And you know how in those games they'll do, I don't know how much you like know them off the top of your head, but he'll do like a jump like this, and then he'll reach out behind him and grab the ledge.
Yeah.
You can do that. I did it. I pushed off a wall and then just kind of swung my hand up and caught one-handed. It was the most fucking satisfying feeling ever. Like, it's very good for that stuff. A lot of reviewers have kind of said the same thing of like, this stands pretty proudly with like a lot of the mainline games.
See, here's the problem about virtual reality, because that's great for you.
Because you don't have a ceiling.
But here's the thing, for being, I was 6'1", so playing virtual reality, I would need to have like 9-foot ceilings.
Especially a game like that.
Because even upstairs, my ceilings are 8 foot. Mm-hmm. And if, like, I could conceivably, like, the spare bedroom, just move the bed out of the way and play up there. But my hand is going to clip the fucking light, and I'm going to pull it off the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like,
that is definitely an issue for...
Like, I could do that. That's great. But even, I'm sitting down right now, and down here I can touch the ceiling.
That is fair, actually. He is touching the ceiling, yeah.
And upstairs, I have more room, but I could still do this and touch the ceiling.
And I can't. I can almost touch the ceiling sitting here, just barely.
But I couldn't do it upstairs sitting down, to be fair. But
yeah.
it's like, it's not that wild to be like.
Yeah.
And especially with a light fixture hanging down on a ceiling fan, especially how wide it is, I'm gonna rip it off the ceiling somehow.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sucks, is like you really do need like tall ceilings, or you need to be short.
Yeah. Or a combination of both. Like my mom's house has 9-foot ceilings, but I'm also not tall. So.
What I'm gonna do, I think
I have perfect reach.
What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the roof off my house, and I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna put a couple of feet in there.
There you go.
And then have the roof extend up.
There you go.
Because that's possible. It's gonna be like Minecraft.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break the blocks.
Don't forget to put some dirt blocks down to climb up first.
Yeah, I gotta climb up with some dirt blocks, and then I'll put up a couple more blocks there.
But no, Assassin's Creed VR. I'm so excited to be able to play it this weekend. Hopefully, tell you some more because I only got to play an hour. I will say, frame rate. It's got some moments, but I did see something on Reddit as why, because people much smarter than I, or at least claim to be, figured out that the game uses some fancy thing I think Apple might have invented, or maybe Meta invented. I don't know. It's called it's basically fancy upscaling. I forget what it's called. It's like water view or some shit. But basically, the game seems to actually be running at 45 frames per second, but reprojecting at 90. And as a layman who doesn't know that was a thing, I can't tell. It's not like DLSS where I'm like, oh, I can clearly tell this is downscaled and then being upscaled. The game, again, looks fucking beautiful. And it runs fine. What I noticed was if you're using the thumbstick to turn, it's as you turn, there tends to be a little chop. Almost like a one-frame black screen almost. Something like that. And according to people who are talking on Reddit, that's exactly what it is. When you're turning, it literally has to re-render where you're looking, but in correlation to your thumbstick, so it tends to drop frames and put in black frames. So they said just turn your body. It doesn't do it. So I was like, oh fuck. So I tried it. It doesn't do it, or not as bad. Very rarely will it actually be oh, stutter. Because in VR, stuttering is much worse than a flat screen game.
Yeah.
Much more noticeable because, if you're holding the thumbstick forward and the character's running, all of a sudden you stop running and then you start running again, you're like, oh, what the fuck just happened?
I don't know how it works on the Quest, but when I had my Vive, if you went below 90 FPS, it would cut off the screen.
Yeah, the PlayStation VR used to do that.
If you went below 90 FPS, your screen would go black.
Yeah, Quest doesn't do that, but the PSVR did, the first gen one that I had.
Huh.
And then one last thing I wanted to talk about, just to throw it out there, just super quick, because we're obviously running in later in the episode, but I do appreciate a developer who utilizes the hardware they have. So, call it a gimmick, whatever. Quest 3, big thing is mixed reality. You have augmented reality built in, you have full color pass-through. So, when you get to the hacker segments where you're in the Animus, it shows you your room, which I thought was kind of neat. It's the first game I've ever seen do that, other than a dedicated mixed reality game. So you have to hack on a digital computer that's in your room. It's kind of neat. Not gonna lie.
It snaps to your room, and it's like, all right, sit down at the nearest computer. Okay, start hacking everywhere. Start hacking Google.com. Take down all our competitors.
All of a sudden, I'm like, this is great, man. I'm doing so good. The fucking newts are launching around me. I'm like, this is so cool.
This is so immersive. Wiped off the map.
It's like Letsy's way on the other end of the house. I see her disintegrate. I'm like, wow, that's really good graphics. And then I disintegrate. Just fucking dead instantly.
That's crazy. And you're a skeleton.
But the Quest 3 is totally fine.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But no, yeah, I have to say, gimmicks aside, because it is technically a gimmick at the end of the day, in terms of that they didn't have to do that. I thought it was neat. The first time it turned on pass-through and I saw a door in front of me, I was like, that's my door. I saw the door. But because you're in the computer, it's blue tinged. So it's not like they're using just, pass-through's on. It's you're in this computer HUD, so it's a blue tinge around you. I was like, that door looks like mine.
That would have been so funny if you were like, holy shit, they added Oscar to this game.
Yo, Oscar, where'd you get a role? I'm like, I go to pet him. I'm like, dude, he's so realistic.
Dude, it's almost like real life.
Yeah, meanwhile, he's like, what the fuck? But, yeah, so, great game. Assassin's Creed VR, fucking recommend it. And, good news, you buy it, you can send a code to a friend for 25% off for the game. So, me and Bud Light Boy did that. He said he's getting me next time on the next game he buys, because he bought a Quest 3 as well. So, yeah. And then I got $5 for him buying it. So, they get 25% off, and I get $5 credit.
$5?
$5 whole roonies, dude.
That's crazy. So that used to get you a footlong at Subway. Not anymore, though.
I mean, $5, you might be getting a footlong for me, you know what I'm saying?
I think I would find myself sorely disappointed, just like I am at Subway.
I've never been good at measurements, Christ, you know this.
Not good at measurements. I'm not good with rulers.
Yeah. My mom hit all of them after that incident.
After the incident. I gotta complain really quickly before we end off. Because we talked about this very briefly, and I feel like it would be, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Rockstar Games.
Oh shit, yes, I did want to talk about this.
They let's back it up. They made a video game one time.
Little
Grand
one.
Theft Auto 5.
Yep, small game. Yep.
The next one's supposed to come out sometime this century. We're not sure when.
Right.
But there's been all this speculation, and like some of these posts that I've seen have been fucking wild.
Yeah.
There's like, well, if you look at the orientation of the orientation of the moon in this in this post that they did, and if you look at the next phases of the moon, you can see that this date this moon would look like this. Like, what the fuck are you people talking about?
Divide that by the coordinates of their office.
Yeah, so point being, Rockstar announced an announcement. So I guess sometime next month they plan on dropping a trailer for GTA 6.
Yeah.
So I've never seen a game announce a trailer before.
In a big way. Like, there's plenty of developers that say, like, hey, we're going to show a trailer. But they straight up said, hey, we know you're all excited, so next month we're going to get a trailer.
No, yeah, I've never once seen that.
Yeah.
Where, like, a game developer's like, guess what? Next month,
fucking trailer's
going to drop. And everyone loses their minds.
Yeah.
This game, I think, it's going to have the same weight on it as, like, Cyberpunk did.
Mm-hmm.
Where
if not more.
When Cyberpunk came out, there was so much hype with Cyberpunk. So much so that Steam's download rates hit the highest rate they had ever been, and the service went offline.
Right.
I remember trying to install Cyberpunk day one. It was at like 2 kilobits per second.
I think I was like 200 kilobits for a while.
Like, there was no download throughput because the amount that was being pulled from the servers was like, it was like fucking 1,800 terabytes per second or something ridiculous like that. And so anyway, I think that's going to be the same thing with GTA 6, where it's going to cause all this hype, and people are going to have this mentality where they want it to be something that it's not going to be.
There's definitely going to be a lot of that.
When you see a game that has an announcement a month and a half in advance for a trailer of the game that probably won't be out for another 3 years or whatever, I just don't think that it's going to live up to everyone's expectation. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, because I don't know anything about the fucking thing. I just don't think it's going to live up to what people think it's going to be.
I think, all right, so my thoughts on it. Number one, I think this is going to be the Red Dead 2 to the Grand Theft Auto series, personally.
Where it's going to be a masterpiece.
I think so.
I have no doubts that it's going to be a fantastic video game.
Because the foundation set in GTA 5 for its time, the character switching, the customization, even the story decisions, there's a couple moments in there where you make decisions. I really do think this will be the Red Dead 2, where it's like Red Dead 1 is a fantastic game, but Red Dead 2 is fucking just leaps and bounds ahead of it, just at least in terms of technicality and what it does.
Right.
Objective story, whatever. But in terms of what it does in its scope, I think it's going to be the Red Dead 2 to the Red Dead 1, or to GTA rather. Now, will it live to people's hypes? I don't think it will, simply because the hype is unrealistic. I'm not saying like, oh, I thought they were going to have surfing, but they got rid of surfing, because that's supposedly something that's been leaked, is there's surfing in the game.
Right.
But I think people are expecting it to possibly be like this decade-long game that takes you a decade to finish because it's got 4 maps and all these characters. It's not going to be that.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the stuff comes from. People are saying that it's supposedly going to have 3 maps, like Vice City, Los Santos, and Liberty City all in one, and you can travel freely. That stuff may be true. Like, you might be able to go map to map. That's great. Games have been doing that for a while. I don't think it's going to be like, well, you can, like, wreck Liberty City and, like, the president will fucking send militants after you in Los Santos. Like, no. It's going to be a video game.
Yeah, that's such a great way to put it. Like, I think people need to understand, and this happens so often with games where it's like, it's a fucking video game. You need to understand that, like, there's only so much that's possible with these things.
And it's a video game that's likely only going to be on console at the time of release.
Yes.
So now we're talking, it's a video game, and has to run on PS5, Series X, and most importantly, Series S.
This fucking game on Series S is going to be in like 360p. It's going to look terrible.
So there's that. Additionally, right, a big thing that stirred some talks was Rockstar patented some AI NPC technology. That's great. They patented that 6 months ago. The game's been in development for fucking 8 years. Okay? It's very likely that they're patenting this because they have an idea and not because they're using it.
Well, Jordan, I will say, that's exactly what a patent is. Yeah. It's an idea. A lot of companies patent a lot of things. Have you ever seen some of the stuff Sony has patented?
Yes, like the fucking heat-changing controller, the temperature-changing controller that changes shape, too.
Yeah, shit like that where it's like, or they have shit where it's like Sony owns a patent where, for like a TV that has a microphone camera built in that when an advertisement plays, if you get up and yell the brand's name, it skips the advertisement.
Yeah,
like that's a patent that Sony owns, I believe.
But do they make it? No.
But do they make it? No. Patents don't have to be theoretically possible even.
That's true.
It just has to be a novel idea. Like there are patents for like fucking time machines. Like it doesn't have to be something that is possible in our universe.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have to be possible to be patented. I could patent something like tomorrow, so long as it's like a novel idea and whatever, and I can say, oh, well, and it's a practical thing because this is what we'll use it for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great.
And then never use it.
And then I could just sit on that patent and never make it.
Yeah. So that's another thing is like that garners hype. Like we've said it on the podcast years ago when we first started. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if in a game you could talk to the NPC and use like AI to actually talk and stuff? And like that's kind of what they patented. I don't think you're going to be able to go to GTA6 and be like, hey, Francis, what's the next mission you got? And then he's going to respond. Like,
right.
GTA 5 had that. If you remember, you could say, put your fucking hands up when you're robbing someone, and they would put their hands up. That's totally different. Like, people are getting way too out of hand with expectations.
I think
Just
so.
like it for what it is. It's going to be a good game. It's almost impossible for them to take the foundation of GTA 5 and make it not at least fun to play.
Oh, yeah.
At a minimum.
Yeah.
Just take it for what it is.
Don't
get cyberpunked.
What I have seen, speaking of AI in games, is like there was a mod recently for Skyrim VR, I believe, where it would add ChatGPT integration and like some voice AI tool to the game, so you could just speak to like NPCs.
Right.
But it was so funny because it's ChatGPT's like knowledge base. There's no modifications there to keep it like lore accurate. So I saw a clip of a guy talking to like one of the Whiterun guards about basketball.
That's super fucking funny.
That's the kind of shit that I expect when I hear about like generative models for AI in video games. And that's why we still have AI in games that's like fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
you can only do so much with today's technology.
AI is something that's very interesting and a very promising technology.
It's just not there yet.
Problem being is it doesn't have the reliability that you would need for a game.
Yeah.
You know, especially trying to work it into a story is like kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like, take some of the leaks as, like, good news. Like, oh, supposedly there's two playable characters, a brother and a sister, who get involved in, like, a life of crime. And, like, that's great. I could see that happening. That's realistic.
That's conceivably possible, considering there was 3 in the other game, the last one.
And, if only there was this other game, right? Because people were saying, like, well, how are they going to balance the two characters? And, like, how do you know who does what mission? If only there was this other game. I'm just thinking of this now. I swear there was another game.
Okay.
Where you had, like, these two dudes. And they both had these powers, and the powers were slightly different from each other. And they were like in New York, and I think they weren't criminals. They were trying to fight criminals, I believe.
Yeah, two guys.
They were in New York, and they had some powers.
Some superpowers, maybe?
Yeah, and they were trying to like fight criminals, not be criminals.
Arachnid guys or something?
Arachnophobe? No, that's the fear of them. Oh, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, and you had 2 playable characters you could switch between seamlessly, and they all had their own different missions, and it all came together cohesively. Yeah, that's right. That's already been done.
Hey, check it out. I'll do you one better. That's 2 playable characters.
Mm-hmm. 2.
Right?
Dose 1.
Now,
2. Yeah.
think about it. I just had a crazy idea. Now, we take a fictionalized version of Los Angeles, and there's 3 playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
And all of their stories kind of intertwine with one another as they do crimes and heists and stuff together.
But are still separate.
But are still separate characters that you can play as and switch to at any time. But they all have their own kind of story beats, and they have their own pieces in every mission. And depending on certain missions, depending on which character you select, you can actually play specific portions of the mission as different characters. You have the option to switch. What if there was a game like that may, I don't want to say, it might also be part of some series?
Possibly like a series we've been talking about?
Possibly like the previous installment of the game that we were just talking about?
Yeah, GTA 5, little game.
That's a crazy question. I mean, like, how do we balance 2 characters? I don't know. You do it like you do anything fucking else.
You do it like you did in GTA 5, like you did in Spider-Man 2. Like, you've literally... Like, you just force them into certain encounters. Like, open world, do what you want. Encounters, do what you want. Make sure that you have enough good writing to know that, like, if character A gets kidnapped in this mission and hasn't been rescued by the second mission, then you can't play as character A. Like, that's what happens in Spider-Man 2. It's like, oh, last mission with Peter, this happened, so he's kind of not around. So they don't let you play as Peter. Like, that's it. You're just stuck as Miles for a bit. And then, get this. When they're both around, you can switch.
That's crazy.
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just weird. Just keep your expectations in check. As someone who's been cyberpunked, keep them in check.
Yeah, I've been cyberpunked. It's been a rough times for gamers. Yeah.
And I say this as someone who genuinely, I want GTA 6 to be the Red Dead 2 of GTA 5. Like, I want to see that. I want them to come out and I want them to blow me away like they did with Red Dead 2.
I want them to blow me.
Exclusively. I know. I want to feel what I felt for Red Dead 2 or similar. Again, I'm not counting on this game to fail. I would love for them to come out with this fucking special story and technology, all the stuff that makes other developers do the same thing they do with Red Dead 2 and go, oh, fuck. That game's so much better.
Yeah, where like Red Dead 2 was like a fucking master class in how to write a story.
Yeah. Or even how to present a fucking open world that isn't boring.
Yeah, that was such like I think an underappreciated part of that game was how like lived in and real that world felt.
Yeah.
Where like there's always something happening external to you as a character. Unless you're like once you get into the Red Dead 1 map with John, it's a desert. Yeah. So it's empty.
Yep.
Which makes sense in a way because no one's going to be just in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense there's less encounters there.
Yeah.
But point being, if they can do a world like that at the very least, I think it's going to have a lot of staying power. It's going to be a very good game, but I think people are expecting it to be the fucking second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
And it's not like, guys, he's dead, Yeah. It's not going to be all that. Let me tell you, it's going to be a game.
Yeah, just if you ever need an example of like what we're talking about with Red Dead 2, do me a favor. Boot up Red Dead 2, play chapter 1 to 2. You don't even have to finish 2. Just get partway through 2. And then do me a favor. Go to wherever you can get a game, Steam, whatever. Boot up Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Tell me which open world is more enjoyable to be in.
Oh, man. I don't know. That one's a tough one.
You'll understand exactly what we mean by Red Dead 2's world is the best open world. Like,
yeah.
To live in, to exist in. So
yeah, that's what I'm expecting out of GTA 6 anyway.
Me as well.
It's things like that.
Like when they patent AI stuff, I'm just expecting the NPCs to be more realistic like they are in Red Dead 2. Yeah. Obviously, they're not going to probably go as far because we've talked about this before, how like it doesn't feel good sometimes to murder people in Red Dead 2. But like in GTA, if you kind of humanize these NPCs, it's going to be a little harder to be mowing them down with a car.
Right, like the NPCs in GTA are kind of specifically meant to not be very nice.
They're meant to be annoying. Like they walk around going like, "Oh my god, I just got a tweet." Like they do shit like that on purpose to be like, "Fuck that guy." They're satirical.
Yeah, where they like you walk past and like fuck you.
Yeah. Versus in Red Dead, you walk past a guy and he's like, "Man, I really gotta get food on the table for my wife and kids," and then you're like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna rob him. I'm not."
Or
gonna
like
rob him.
if you shoot someone, if you shoot like an innocent person, their friend will be like, "Jesus Christ!"
Yeah. Or there's actually NPCs.
What's wrong with you?
There's like farms you can go to, and I found this out the hard way, by the way, like from a fucking Reddit post I didn't expect. There's farms you can go to where there's like a ranch dog, and you can kill the farmer, and the dog will fucking mourn the farmer. He'll just hang out next to his body, like sniffing it and shit. Like, I don't want that in GTA. I don't want to mow someone down and have their husband like holding their wife's corpse. Like, I don't need that, you know. So,
Fair. I do want to see some good driving out of that game, though.
yes,
I do want to see that.
best in class, hopefully. Especially like striking that balance between like, hey, this is fun, but also realistic. Like I don't need to be doing like there should be settings in my opinion. There should be like a hey, you just fucking drive and go, and then there should be one that's like you also have to have the right tires to go off road and the right suspension so you don't lose control. Like I would like to see that kind of toggle.
Right.
That would be sick. Because then you could get real micromanaging. Because that's what a lot of people want. But there's also people who just want to hit fucking right trigger and go.
Fair. I think that's or maybe they could have like a mode or like something where you can go to a garage and be like auto equip for this, and it will like put on all the mods that you
Off-road
need.
shit or something.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I'm gonna be doing drag race. Here's a drag race kit. Like
Something like that.
that would be neat.
That might be interesting. But I just think it's really funny, looping back to the initial topic at hand, that they announced an announcement. I think that's really funny.
Hopefully, you know what would be the cherry on top? If they announced an announcement that ends up being a CGI trailer.
Oh, I think it's definitely going to be a CGI trailer. I don't anticipate seeing gameplay of this game until like at least probably this time next year.
Yeah. I know when gameplay leaked in the past, like prototype gameplay, people were fucking heated about it. They're like, this looks so bad. It's like, it's early alpha, dude.
I remember when people were mad about it. I was like, bro, the game is years away.
Do you think that they just hit a button and it's like, here's the world, it's all simulated, everything's great? No, they have to build that from nothing or next to nothing.
Have you ever made like a very, relatively speaking, simple application? Have you ever programmed a very simple application? It takes a long time.
Let me put this in layman's terms.
It's not fun.
Put this in layman's terms, because not everyone's an applicator like you, all right? What if I had a painting here? I said, Chris, I'm going to paint a sunset, and I drew a circle for the sun. You're like, that fucking sucks. That's the worst painting ever.
Tell yourself.
That's like, I'm like, Chris, I just drew a circle. I just spent like 5 hours making this.
Like, I just started. This is a pencil line.
Yeah. Like, that's basically what people did. They saw the pencil line. This looks like shit. I don't want to buy it. I'm like, bro, it's a process.
Yeah.
Like, they're just doing rigs. Like, that's all the demo that leaked was literally just rigs for animations with different guns. Like, oh, if you're going to slide with a rifle, you probably wouldn't put your hand on the round. But if you're going to slide with a pistol, you might because you have a free hand. Like, it was just a fucking animation rig. No, they're not going to put a fucking 4K Ultra HD fucking texture. It's just going to be a blocky dude doing this.
Yeah, that's another great point is, like, seeing animation in general before it's rendered properly. It looks like fucking garbage because they want to actually see it.
Yeah.
Rendering animation is crazy difficult.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of power.
Even with mocap. With mocap, it's very difficult.
Like, once you apply all these textures to make the game or movie or whatever look fine, I know movies especially, some of these movies can take a day per frame to render. Like, these movies take so fucking long to render.
Yeah. It's just nuts. So anyway, that's all I got. Tirade over.
Yeah, that's our GTA 6 thoughts.
Next time you see us, we'll probably be getting ready for the trailer, and then the time after that, it might be out. They said early December, so we'll see. Yeah. We should actually do like a little reaction to the trailer. It'd be interesting. Critique it. Assuming it's literally not like a 5-second like title card or some shit.
I think it would be funny to do a reaction to the trailer where we just and then it ends. The trailer ends and we both go, huh. And the video cuts and it just ends.
Huh, neat.
How about that? Nice.
And then it just ends, yeah. Anyway. Done?
Yeah, I think this one's over.
So, you can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed all linked below. There's also YouTube and Spotify that have the video platforms. You can watch us. And as always, you can contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, death threats, and most importantly, little kitty bit city news, hype, shit like that. And yeah, you can reach us Instagram, TikTok. We have shorts there, and the podcast is also on TikTok. So
Yeah.
it's all synced.
So we'll see. We'll see you next time, maybe.
That's all, folks. It's like I was gargling on someone's balls.